Okay. Make sure everything is here.
Thank you for stopping by in our game session. It was,
Yeah.
we had we had two players who was kind of iffy if they could come on or not. So therefore it was kind of a little bit iffy. But once we got going, it actually worked out really well.
Awesome. Yeah, I just been running around a lot today, lurking and all. Just so I figured I'd just stop in and look.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick.
Yeah, we actually had 30 viewers, but we didn't. Most of them never chatted, but they were in there, and
That's good.
Yep.
Patrick, sound good? Hey, Will.
Oh, is it on already?
Yeah, we're on.
Obvious-
You just got on. All right, good.
Obviously I have to refresh.
You
There it is.
You kicked it. Yeah, you kicked it off. So yeah.
Oh, well, all right. Ryan, how was your trip?
It was good. Yeah.
Good. It was excellent.
Yeah.
Was it too short? You want
No,
more
it was
time?
actually, it was long enough that the last few days I was like, nah, I want to go home. I want to go home now. So it was, yeah.
Right.
It
So
was
just about
35 days. Yeah, exactly. It was just about right. I got enough to last me for a bit. So yeah. Thank you, Patrick. Welcome to NATO. It's too early yet. I don't think Erdogan has ended his shenanigans yet. So he just is more cordial at the moment, so to speak. So we'll see. Yeah. He plays every trick in the book, and unfortunately, I'm not the one going out criticizing Swedish politicians online, but the current the foreign minister in Sweden, he needs to tone down his positivism. He's starting to look like he needs some lectures in
Is he a Pollyanna? As they call it here in the States.
He's such an optimist that he's starting to sound like he's lacking wisdom, so to speak.
I tell you what, I absolutely hate that. It's like, I'm an adult. Don't blow sunshine here. Just tell me how it is.
He's the eternal optimism, and if he were the head of trying to sell Sweden as a tourist country to tourists in, whatever, he would be perfect for the job. But he needs to tone it down. There's still shenanigans, and it's not a done deal yet. So
Nope.
yeah.
Well, let's hope it gets done.
It will get done eventually, but it will take some more months of wrangling it back and forth. It's big. It's international politics. It's never easy.
No,
and it
it's
takes a
not.
while. So yeah.
Just the simple fact that lots of times there's so much translation.
Well, yeah.
Think about it. These are governmental documents which are already overly sized as it is.
Yeah, first the horse trading needs to be done, and then it needs to formalized.
Oh boy.
And then someone needs to throw in the proverbial wrench 5 times over. And,
right.
And
then
but
somebody's
anyone,
like, you guys think about this?
Yeah.
And like everybody goes, oh.
Yeah, but my advice is that everyone who wants to have big politics in their games, look at the NATO right now in how you want to use for your alliances in your fantasy worlds, and all the wrangling between friends, so to speak. That can be really interesting.
I mean, think about that. It's like that is a campaign right there.
Yeah.
You know, NATO, Russia. What's going on? The pseudo war.
Like in Greyhawk, how would an alliance against IUs work, so to speak? And things like this. Maybe we're on the same side, but they don't like each other, and they have very different ideas on how it should be done, etc., etc. So
That's a good point.
And the Furundians are pissed at the people in Ernst. It's like, come on, you need to pay your. We've been taking the brunt of all this for so long, us in the Shieldlands. Time for you to get some skin in the game. Ernst is like, well, can we just send you grain?
Exactly. Yep. Oh yes, Patrick, I did some hiking, and I bought new hiking boots. I bought new Perfect. The other ones were 16 years old and falling apart. So now I've got new boots, the best ones in the world, Eco Professional Soldier boots. They're unbeatable. They cost $300, but they're the best.
They're worth it. You get what you pay for, right?
Yep. And I bought new hiking clothes for California winter, so they can take some wind and and water and stuff. They're hard to find here, but in Sweden they're everywhere. Especially there when the weather is like 80 degrees, they're discounted heavily. So that was good.
Right,
so,
that's always the best time to do it.
Yep. Yep.
You always buy the stuff you need for later, off season.
And I did some in Sweden and some in Norway. So my mother lives close to the border, so I went up in some Norwegian hills and stuff too. So.
I bought some sweatshirts and stuff when I was in Ohio. It was summertime.
Yep.
It's like, look, that stuff's on sale.
California, there are a few stores that have them, but not that many, so to speak, because you normally don't need that hiking gear here in California that much, so to speak. Shorts and whatever works rather well here.
Year round, you're right.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I really like SoCal. It's really nice down there.
Me too.
But I would have to say, I would still have to get out. Go experience some other weather for a little bit. And then come back to base camp.
Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is that summers here are just like Scandinavian winters in a way, with a good twist, is that when it's like 110 out during daytime for weeks, now for several weeks, you just sit indoors and work. But the good thing is mornings and evenings are gorgeous. Yeah. So I get out at 5:30 or about 5-ish, and you go out hiking for 4 or 5 miles before the sun comes up. So and then I take a siesta in the afternoon for 2 hours. That's summer. So I love that bit. But don't think about leaving house much unless you go to a shopping center midday, because it's scorching hot this time of year.
The hot weather finally hit here in Denver. It like we pushed up into July, hadn't even hit a 90.
Yeah.
It was like, so it was delayed. It's finally now just started. But it's like usually in Denver, because we're so high up, the air's thick.
Yeah.
When evening comes, it cools down a lot.
Yep.
So, but it hasn't happened recently.
I'll cut this next one short.
It's still stayed like it'd be in the 90s, and then it would get down into like mid 80s. It's like no. You're supposed to still go down into the 70s or the high 60s. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Because it can be a crazy hot day, and then evening time comes around and cools down.
Patrick, it is, but I don't have another vid to play. I'm not playing the Christmas vid again, Controller.
That's the weird thing. When you get really nice warm temperature, the few days you have like 85 or so in Scandinavia, then the problem is it's 83 at night because the sun barely goes down. It's also humid, so it's tropical.
Yes. And that's what the problem is here, is because it had been raining here a lot. Like
Southern
way
California
more than it's ever had.
Yeah, this is desert heat, so it's like 85 somewhere else is like 95 here. So
yeah. Well, it normally is. This is high desert.
Yep.
But not this year.
we get the occasional humid heat here from time to time too, a day or two, and then it gets like this.
Well, I tell you what, even this weather here, I went back. Granted, the temperatures weren't high, but when I went back to Ohio, I was like, oh yeah, here's it.
Got it.
And this is just East Coast humidity. You know what I mean? So I always get in trouble. I say East Coast when I talk about Cleveland. I mean going towards the East Coast. New Yorkers all get affected.
People in South Carolina probably
New Jersey guys too.
Yeah,
it's like,
they would think that what you're talking about, East Coast humidity.
East Coast,
north,
it's
and
like you're on the lake.
Coast. Yeah.
That's no.
Thank you for that follow.
Yeah, that would be like someone in Poland talking about the Atlantic breeze and stuff.
Right. I'll tell you what, though, it's definitely not the West. So I guess that is Midwest there. Cleveland would be considered. That's like the start of the Midwest, basically.
Yeah.
I guess.
And where I live, we are east of the Santa Ana Mountains. So we are east of the first range of mountains, which means that we are not as humid as the coast, but we are not.
Right.
They usually call us purgatory. We are not. It's like paradise at the coast and down in Orange County, and then purgatory here, and then over in Palm Springs. In Palm Springs, it's hell. At Death Valley. So that's the next set of mountains.
Right.
Brutal.
Well, I'm just it's what, we're mid-July, August is around the corner, it's in sight, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have another 6 weeks of this.
All right.
Yeah, not here. It'll start cooling down here sooner. So the elevation really,
that helps.
Oh yeah. Well, because with being so high up, it's like it doesn't, without the heat, it doesn't keep in that atmosphere. It just kind of
radiates away.
Yeah, that was their big thing they used to say, is about like with air pollution out here.
Time for an interesting discussion tonight.
And have that, because during the day it just compounds and it sits, you know, and then you have to wait for it to all go. They have the stop motion photography back in the 80s and early 90s to show it.
I have it raining in the background on this screen because it's raining here.
Oh,
actually, it stopped, so it was pretty bright all day for the most part.
Yeah,
you can change that outside the window on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got like 5 or 6 scenes I can do on that one. Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. All right. Hoping to talk about Greyhawk weather. Well, maybe we'll go weather.
I will touch on it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I definitely want to talk about it. 100%. I want to talk about it.
How's everyone doing tonight?
I have it on my list of things to mention.
That's fantastic. And that's why we're going to have a nice discussion with Anna Meyer, William Henry Dvorak, and myself on outdoor adventuring. I think Tim's away on vacation. He didn't respond at all the entire week, so he must be gone. But his name's up there. Just if he should, Tim's like our new Len Lakovka. If he shows up, it's a bonus. Yeah. So exactly. Yeah. So, hey Tim. So at least one $15 gift certificate to Troller Games is the giveaway. Yes, Kane, you like that? The new blue ball emote. Josh loves it. So.
You can give away a Ravens Rook PDF if you want.
Yeah, let's do that too then. We'll do that in PDF. Yeah. That sounds great. I do have one in hard copy too. If we get a hype train going, we'll do one in hard copy too. How's that sound? So, it's like we're at number 256, and everyone goes, "Oh, how do you keep topics up going?" Well, you kind of recycle and reinvent some of them. Now, I did a delving into Druids and Rangers like 220 cabins ago, right? And it's another thing. Who asked me? Wiley's partner on Greyhawk, Mateus goes, "Hey, you were Anna ever do anything on the Shield lands?" I was like, "Yeah. In fact, Anna and I met because of my Gabbin number 20. I think low quality production though, dude. And then I did a rehash of number 114. So But tonight we're going to talk about outdoor adventuring, and
not to mention, how many episodes have you had where this is the topic, you start talking about it, and you get like this much of the topic done, right?
Absolutely.
You just dive deep and you just start digging and whatnot, and you're like, oh, we'll cover that on another episode.
Yeah, it's like tangential. Yeah.
Hey, Phoenixy, and I think tonight we're gonna we'll hit some things that I've never really talked about. I know I have one topic I want to talk about that I never had before. In this realm, and that is some of the I've never discussed like cool different types of magic arrows. I want to discuss that, like all the different types that are in my campaign. Right, like this publication right below me right now is a really good one, but we'll get to that. So, in addition to some of the other things that and I got your page up, so we'll hit stuff back and forth on editions. So like I said, we try and keep it editionless, but there's always a good thing here and there.
If you want to start off with that, because I was thinking about it when I was like thinking of different things to talk about, and this is not an edition bash, because if I'm playing an actual D&D rule set, I play 5th edition now. If I'm playing D&D, I play a lot of rule sets, but if I play D&D, it's pretty much 5th edition. 5th edition doesn't really, they say, the 3 pillars and whatnot. Exploration, there's not really anything.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't really exist at all. They didn't really give it any sort of, it's like, I think a couple of pages in the Dungeon Master's Guide, they talk about it, they gloss over it. There's some tables. That's it. They're not.
There are various other really versions of 5e that like advanced 5e you can level up, and now Valiant Tales of the Valiant, a bunch of other 5e clones, so to speak. They have extensive rules on the.
And I think what they did is because they were filling that hole, because Wizards of the Coast didn't bother with it at all, really.
Wow.
And I think part of it too has to go along with the type of play that they are pushing, which is the very scene, very hero driven. It is not resource based at all.
Right.
So if you like resource based adventuring in the wilderness, I don't know if 5th edition, at least not from Wizards of the Coast. You would definitely have to go pick up some of these other ones that are popping up. Now you've got the level up, right, Anna? You use
I'm basing my house rules on, I'm using level up as the base to convert from, so to speak, for the most part. And they have a fairly solid wilderness exploration pillar that I like, travel rules and stuff. So
yeah. So there you go. I don't know what Tales of the Valiant will be like, or any of the other ones. So
I've only skimmed through some of the playtest, but I don't think they've gotten to the really juicy bits of that pillar yet. So when it comes to it,
and just a slight tangent, when it comes to 5th edition clones so far, I haven't really been impressed, to tell you the truth. I mean, there's some that do a lot of good stuff with monsters and a lot of good stuff with additional options, but nobody has really touched at all the problems I see, like within the basic mechanics. Everybody's left it alone.
Because they want to keep the compatibility, so they don't dare to. I think Tales of the Valiant is the one that gone further. Level Up, they introduced a couple of auxiliary mechanics like exertion and stuff. A few.
I
things,
was on their playtest list for that stuff, so I was getting the packets at first. So I got like the first 3 packets, went through them, and then I quit. I was like, you guys aren't adding anything new. I mean, you're adding stuff, but the stuff you're adding is not really. I wanted a grittier. Now maybe Shadow Dark is more along the lines of what I'm thinking, but
so
anyway.
I'm tweaking it my own way, but and
like I don't like disengage. I think disengage is one of the worst rules they have.
It's interesting.
I disengage. That means nobody can hit me. I can run all over the place and no one can hit me. It's like that is a load of crock.
Well,
whatever.
Yeah. So a quickie one, Chromie asks, Will, because I have no opinion on it and I imagine it's decent. Old School Essentials. You know a lot about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He said, any opinion on that?
Old School Essentials is a great game.
There you go.
And one of the I would recommend, if you like 1st edition, to tell you the truth, this is my stance. Okay, if you like AD&D,
thanks, Keith.
Play Old School Essentials. That it is much better put together, and there is a ton of stuff out there. Old School Essentials is great. I ran Old School Essentials for one of my streams. And they have a ton of. It was originally BX, and then they expanded it. And they brought in advanced rules, and there's a ton of rules that's done by the community because they have an open license. You can go and you can make stuff for Old School Essentials, and there's tons of it on drive-through. So, and they're adding more stuff themselves. So, Old School Essentials is great. It's rock out, and I like that. If you want a real good old school feel, that would be the one. So. I like a little bit more modern mechanics in some of my stuff, but I wouldn't complain at all if playing it. Like I said, I ran a whole campaign with it, so
that's awesome. That's what I thought. That's why I figured you'd be best suited to answer that question. That it's worth the time. All right, here's my first question. When you think of outdoor adventuring,
I think rules-wise, I think it's underused, to tell you the truth.
Exactly. But what is the number one most used skill outdoor that comes up in outdoor adventuring all the time?
Must be survival.
No. Going back to old school days.
Animal handling.
Sorry, you don't even have survival.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
Come on.
I forgot more.
Nature.
Yeah, look, Tom the Vindicator got it. Tracking. Right?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, good job, Tom. Oh, that was awesome. Great.
I got too many early.
I realized that tracking is under the survival skill, so technically I was right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Starting in
Tom, good
third edition
for sure.
Yeah,
for third edition,
he was actually under. So technically I was right, even if I was wrong.
So
exactly.
Sub question 2.
Yep.
How many classes do I have? Distinct classes that can track.
Well, the Ranger would be one.
That's one.
I don't. I know there's more than one. There's got to there's the scout.
Yeah, the bounty hunter.
But that's
bounty hunter too.
Bounty hunter.
Probably the scout.
Scout's not an official class. We'll count that.
Okay.
We'll count that.
Yeah.
3. We'll count that. That's a Tim playtest skill. 3. Yeah, at least 1. Yeah. Come on, Will. 1 that you redid for 5e.
People say Bandit here.
I redid it for 5e.
Yeah, Bandit 4.
Oh, the Bandit. Okay.
No, another one you redid for 5e. One of your favorites.
One of my favorites.
Yes.
Oh, I feel terrible now that I'm not thinking of this.
Come on. Ranger count. Ranger's in that, Michael. So we got 4. So
wait. You're talking about the Guardian?
Yes, Guardian 5.
Okay.
There you go. Okay. All right, that's 5.
Okay.
We got more.
I didn't know. Really? Yeah, I guess it can.
Oh, Guardian. Yeah, Guardian's in track.
Yeah.
Fifth and final one. This one's a trick one.
The Archer.
No, Archers can't track.
I don't know.
Certain specialty priest classes, like the specialty priest of Tritherian, gets tracked.
Oh, yeah. See, that would make sense.
Yeah, so
I would think like some of them nature specialty priests would get it.
Well, it depends on some of them.
Like a dude of Obadiah, I could see him getting it. You know, he's out in the woods and hanging out with the animals.
It just depends on how the class is written up, but definitely there are some out there that are like, they're Alana, especially priest of Alana gets them, especially priest of Tritherian. So I count that as 1, right? Because it's priest. So there you go. So in the old days, before skills were even done, we did have skills, but they were very limited until Arcana came out. So that's the whole point I was trying to make is different things are stretched to different ways, and then you get added. And then because outdoor adventuring was kind of early on, even with like Keep on the Borderlands and L1 and all, it was kind of a little bit of a sidebar, right? You did it on your table and okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just wasn't, there was no
in the original OD&D for outdoor adventuring, they told you to go buy another game.
Yes, that's true.
Outdoor Adventure, I think was the name of it even. And I don't know if it's SBI or if it was
that's true.
Oh God, what's the other real big tabletop war game company? Avalon Hill. It was either Avalon Hill or SBI.
Yeah,
I think it was Avalon Hill.
Game.
Yeah.
To me, it's interesting that it took until 3rd edition until outdoor adventuring was solidly in the game, which to me is amazing.
Well, I don't know, because they had the Wilderness Survival Guide, right?
Well,
exactly, but that was one book that was trying to remedy what was not meaning, and it's interesting when one thing that I think is interesting to look at when it comes to, because one of the key differences between the indoors and outdoors is that the outdoors is way bigger than the indoors for the most part.
Got that right.
Yeah. So then what they did was that they tweaked the rules so the outdoors would function like the indoors, meaning you had a different, all of a sudden spells and everything could be used much further in order to facilitate. So you basically took away the difference, and then you try to simply avoid most of the aspects of the outdoors were avoided mechanically and thematically, meaning you avoided all the outdoor travels, outdoor navigation, combat over large areas, all bunch of stuff. I have a whole range of things listed here that are interesting in outdoor adventuring, and they were avoided, not talked about, or circumvented rules-wise, mechanically, and in the early editions of the game. 3rd edition tried, I think, from the get-go to build it into the game.
I have a theory for that.
Yeah?
And my theory is this. When you're dungeon crawling, what do? You do random encounter.
Thanks, Wayne.
Okay? And that's one roll. You do the roll. If it's a random encounter, you know what's going to happen, right? It's going to be some sort of monster or something like that. It's pretty simple, you know? When they started doing, like, wilderness, seriously trying to start doing wilderness stuff, like the first one being that the Wilderness Survival Guide, there's tables and tables and tables and tables. I think it basically what ended up happening is it was too much. And it wasn't until 3rd edition where they tried to start curtailing that a little bit. You know, it's like, I think wilderness stuff is highly underrated and should be used more, but I do think that a lot of the systems of how people do it should be simplified. You know, take it down into just like a random encounter. Just make a roll, and it should be a lot less of a possibility depending on where you're at, just like anything, because it's so much bigger.
Yeah.
You know?
Patrick, thanks.
Yeah. So, and I think Oh, sorry, go on.
Go finish up.
I was just going to say I think that one of the aspects of outdoor play, simply because it is such huge and big in physical terms and stuff, also big in possibilities. That means that it's also much more open to different play styles, meaning indoor is much more confined. Theater of the mind works, miniatures work, using huge flat maps and like battle maps and stuff like that. You can facilitate a lot of different play styles and you can they work similar ways on indoors. All of a sudden outdoors, it's big enough that the sky is the limit, and therefore it's how you do outdoor adventuring varies more on the play style. If you use theater of the mind, outdoor play would be completely different if compared to if you have a huge sand table where you can have like a world map or like a map of a huge, or like I do, I map out huge tracts and so on. So it's very different depending on how you do it, so to speak.
And Anna, that's the point that I'm trying to roundabout make, is that my game's evolved, your game's evolved. Your game's evolved with your mapping, basically you're almost VTT styling it your map on, For me, it's the table. I mean, we've done so much now that a majority of our adventuring is outdoor, right?
Yeah.
Over dungeon crawling, which, it's probably 60-40 outdoor versus dungeon. So, it's an interesting change, but that's not a bad thing at all. It's fun. And just, that's the point I was trying to make. Where back in the day, you had to have your tracking ability, but there was no survival, and there was none of that stuff. We didn't even have set traps. There was no set trap ability until
second edition started bringing all that stuff in.
Come on, Will, you're slipping.
Oh, you mean on Earth? Did they have it? Well, they had it in the Wilderness Survival Guide, didn't they?
No. Set traps. Oh, come on, everyone. Set traps first appears where? Oh, you guys are. Oh man.
Well, you haven't played first edition in like 30 years, so come on. Except with you, yeah.
And he knows all the rules, so we don't read them. Leonard Lakofka.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, Leonard. There you go. Yep. Yes, Leonard does set traps. He says in this article here, there needs to be a set trap ability. I don't know why it was missed, and that's what he talks about, and he sets it up, and we use this to this day in our thieving abilities. So,
which dragon is that?
Dragon 41.
41.
Okay. Yeah, it's early.
Okay.
It's early. Yeah, it's a Len. Len brought so much to the game. So
And I have one idea too that I think is one of the reasons that a lot of the early scenarios and games and modules and stuff were set indoors rather than outdoors, because in the beginning it was a lot of having the characters trying to navigate an obstacle course, and a lot of meaning there were traps and stuff. That meant that in the wilderness, if you see a hole in the ground that might be a trap, you just walk around it. You can just avoid the whole area, go somewhere else. And that meant that trap and kind of have an obstacle course, it's much more difficult to limit the movement of the characters outdoors, which meant that style of play was much more useful indoors than outdoors. I think that was one of the reasons that outdoor play was not well. That play style was not well suited for outdoors.
You see outdoor become more prevalent with the evolution of the game from its Wargamer roots.
Yeah,
because in Wargamer, what do you have? You have your sand table, and this is the battle, and then you have the out of bounds, essentially.
Which is kind of weird
the
because
battle's supposed to happen on this.
Yeah,
I know, right? It's like, you can't fight over there.
D&D has its roots as a war game, and then they abandoned the war game tradition and went down into little rooms.
And then it's like, but they still had the frame of mind of the adventure's going to take place within this area. They just took that wargaming as it goes here, and then we're just playing the game within these four walls, so to speak. And then as the game started evolving into more high adventure and more complex stories, instead of just, we're not just going into the dungeon to get stuff and come out. We're investigating the stories. That started evolved more and more and more.
Yeah.
So
and the novelty were probably so much fun. Yeah.
Because like the Arduin Grimoire and stuff like that, they start, there's third-party stuff early in the 70s with that. They're starting to come out with stuff like that because, TSR wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
They were just here's and because they still had the philosophy of, well, we don't want to make those rules for them. That's for the DM.
And a lot of the early published modules were convention modules that were supposed to be tournament, and tournament are also well suited for dungeons where things are controllable and channel. You go through established channels and not go everywhere, so to speak.
Right, and timed. That was the other thing too. It's like you got to complete in so much time.
Now we trashed back and forth here like crazy.
So early on, you had your base classes, and then Leonard came. The first one that I ever utilized was Leonard's. Yeah, time games do suck, but Razzmatazz, I do time games every time I have a special event, right? Like Saturday morning, I ran a 4-hour time game. It's just like running at a con. You learn how to do it, and it's part of the game. It's and those are some of the most fun things because you're going to get some action quick, right? So
it starts to become very subconscious too when you stream.
Yeah,
because you become very subconsciously aware of the clock in your head.
You have to.
Yeah, you do. 100%.
Conventions and streaming are very similar under that time constraint.
Yep.
Leonard brought this out in Dragon 45. Then it came back out in my favorite publication of all time when it comes to Dragon, Best of Dragon Volume 3. And this was really, it's, outdoor ranges, all sorts of things that this archer shouldn't really work indoor to a dungeon. But what are you going to do? Not take the character inside? It has point blank range. So look, and we're talking ranges out here that are some crazy, crazy ranges. Like you're not going to have 600 feet in a dungeon. You know what I'm saying? That's just
there is a reason for it because if you want to shoot more than 100 feet with a bow and arrow, you need to lob it in. Meaning, a long bow is basically it's an indirect fire weapon, so to speak, rather than direct, so to speak.
Yeah, ask the French knights; they'll tell you.
It is.
Yeah, and you rarely get that ceiling height. I usually my rule of thumb is that the arrow will travel half the height of the length. If you're going to shoot 100 feet, you need at least past the short range you can shoot direct, but long range you need at least half the ceiling height of the distance you're firing. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So that's one of the and crossbows are direct fire, but long bows or bows are indirect at long range, so to speak. So they're well suited for outdoors, and they can. But it also the same thing in the forest. You lose the crossbows are much better for sniping than bows are, but bows are awesome in order to hit something that is out in the fields way in the distance.
But here's your problem, Anna. Errol Flynn came along.
Well, he's just an actor in Hollywood.
I understand that, but Robin Hood and all that, and actually, Leonard even notes it in his article that the Archer's based on Errol Flynn. Robin Hood even gives him his stats for it. And so it kind of, in a fantasy
we have
setting,
lightsabers and magic missiles. So
I understand
of course we can have.
I understand that, but it's a fantasy game, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So and with that, with the Archer, we have Archer Rangers, we have all sorts of great things now, and it's a fantastic outdoor class. And that's the first one I utilized that was published outside of.
One question, Jay. Do you use different ranges indoors and out, or is it the same?
For all
for anything, meaning if you fire something, is ranges for spells and ranged weapons different indoors or out, or are they the same?
We've never gotten to that level of detail, but it's
okay.
It's different based on each bow.
Like okay. So if your bow can shoot 200 feet outside or in, it will be different inside or something. Or
well, I don't know if very rarely do I get a cavern on my table that is over 200 feet long, and an archer's short range is 210, whereas a short bow's short range is 50. So it's like they're so different. A crossbow's I think short range is 70. It's so different between the classes. So that's a good question. We don't change it just because. Man, it just would be. It's too much once again.
Oh yeah.
That's sort of like too where then you start bringing like. Is
That's a
weapon
good
type
question.
versus armor? Does it make sense? Sure
Mhm.
does. Does it
Yeah.
slow down the game?
Absolutely.
Sure does.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%
Yeah.
there. You hit the nail right on the head there, Will. You're dead
Yeah.
on that question.
Yeah, my
Absolutely.
doctrine of ranged attacks. Yeah.
Yeah. People are pulled into that. Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like, this is what I got to say. If video games could do this, and
Mhm.
they could do all of that hard crunchy stuff for you if somebody wanted to do that
Yeah.
something. And I'm sure there's like hunting simulators that take
Yeah.
all of that into
Yeah, but
There is a video game. It's Medieval Combat. I forgot the name of it. It's
yeah.
a game where you simulate medieval combat as it
right.
actually was. It's both hilarious and horrible and scary at the same time. And
I bet.
I haven't played it. I've just seen but I it's on my list that I should play. But I realized I would spend way too much time analyzing it. And
I saw
it's yeah.
some gameplay of they were basically simulators with
Great.
night clashes where it was like
Yep.
knights that
Yep.
were clashing and
Yeah, you
stuff.
get like men of
Oh my
arms.
god, it's
Yeah.
so brutal.
Yes. Yep.
These early dragons
Yeah.
are so
Yeah.
great.
But
Yeah.
there, I want to say then that's as a DM, if you want
It's
to
one of
run
my favorite ones, Jay.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't see it.
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
want to run campaign as a game master, DM, you need to think about how you should tweak the rules so you get the kind of combat you like.
Yeah,
If you
I'm
like
dead
it,
on.
yeah, exactly. If
Yeah.
you should start
Yeah.
thinking what kind of rules facilitate the kind of play you want to have, how
Yep.
tactical, how cinematic, and then tweak the rules so you get it, so to
Yeah.
speak. I think that's
And
key. Yeah.
that's where one of the things that I always talk about so much that I think is really they just don't talk about it. There's a bazillion DM tips out there and all this different stuff, and so little. And I think maybe because it's really hard to give concrete answers on this, is your table means everything. So try and find people that you can role play with that you have similar ideas as far as how you like to role play, because that is huge.
Yeah.
You
And
want to have a bad time, DM for a bunch of people that don't like to play the way you like to run.
Yep.
That's gonna be a terrible game.
Yeah, and for example,
Absolutely.
if you want to have super powerful magic, that probably means that you will not have gang up fights where the combatants and the different units will gang up close and have these fights where you have line against line, because that will be ridiculous if you have powerful magic. So you need to start thinking how you tweak the components and the rules on things in order to facilitate. If you want cool dragons and castles and stuff, you have to start thinking how would they work in your style of play, so to speak, and in your rules. Yeah,
we actually have
that's a big thing.
We actually have the rock paper scissors effect. That's gonna sound crazy, and I know I saw Rethix on, but I didn't see Skagith on. So in our game, the bane of a mage is an archer, right? Because especially outdoors, they'll just tear them apart. So you always have. Mages in our games are always taking protection from normal missiles to force them to use magic missiles on them. The bane of an archer is a monk, because they can dodge the stuff as they're coming in. And then once you get into melee combat, the archer is a terrible melee combat fighter compared to
that's why,
and any other one. So
that kit I just did for the fighter, that fighter kit, the Wizard Slayer. He's all specialized in basically messing with the wizard so that he can't cast. That's why he can like throw stuff, really good. So he can just like help him, like, hey, leave me alone. I'm trying to cast spell here.
And also the Inquisitor I have has the double dispel magic, which is also anti-magic user. So there's all these balances and effects. And once again, you're going to create that in your own game. Now, this class, Roger Moore did partially, right? This bandit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Tom Armstrong, Roger Moore.
I never knew that. I've read this. I don't know how many times. I love the bandit.
It's an awesome class.
It's an
underused awesome class. It's a hybrid of a ranger, fighter, and thief.
That's what I like about it, because I was like, here's one of the things. Okay, all right. I dislike the fact that rangers, if you want to play a woodsy kind of guy in D&D, you had to be like basically a ranger with spells and all this different stuff. I'm like, whatever, get out of here with that crap. And then I didn't like the fact that like the spell casting and all clerics being vanilla all over the place, same thing and whatnot. It's like no. But that was one of the things I hate it because it's like, well, I want to be able to trunch around through the woods and track people and all this different stuff, but I don't want to have to worry
63.
about,
Yeah.
casting spells and all that jazz.
Tracking, cover tracks. I gave him a weapon specialization, a +1/+2, but they don't get multiple attacks with it. Same thing for their missile weapons. They use small weapons. It's a cool class, and it fits. Like, it's a Greyhawk class. The banditry is huge in Greyhawk, right? And I'm not talking about these. These are like the leader types of the bandits. You don't want to make every single bandit this class, because this class it's a fighter subclass in the game. It's just cool that there's a lot of stuff in old school that kind of you could translate it into whatever edition you're playing. There's no reason you can't. So just like you did the Guardian, you made the Guardian 5th edition. You should do a 5th edition version of this, Will, and put that up.
Of the bandit?
Oh, absolutely.
I probably should.
Absolutely. Well, Heather, thank you. Heather had a fun time yesterday. If you didn't watch yesterday morning, I threw Sahagwin at them and some other crazy stuff at them, and they
for had a blast.
They had a blast.
I was going to show the Chagmats in here, but
this is such a great.
It's not in here.
It's not in that one. It's in 45.
It's in this one, I think.
Oh, is it?
I think I took it out.
Well, this one has.
Double check.
Just real quick. This one has 45 is one of the best ones ever. It has the humanoids point of view by Roger Moore. It has events in the eastern and southern Flannas. It has all sorts of wonderful things in here. Chagmat's in here, page 33. Yeah, Akron Ohio, the one-armed dude. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
yep,
there it is, Chagmat. Yep. So
yeah, this one did get pulled out.
It is a great one. But just to say that for outdoor adventuring, this is one of the best, coolest classes there is. The bandit. Just think about it, and it doesn't. It says you can't, but in my game, because of the way the Prince of York is, Annie, you'll love this. I allow dwarven bandits. Mm-hmm. So think half orc, human, elf.
I don't see why
dwarven.
not.
Yeah, no gnomes. No gnome bandits.
I think that if you are allowed to be evil, you could be a bandit. That would be my general rule of thumb.
Yeah. So, time bandits. Yeah, that's a whole different. Time bandits or ice pirates? Go. Which one's better?
Ice pirates.
Ice pirates is way better. Sorry, guys.
I like time bandits, but
the ice pirates is hysterical too. So,
yes, I was going to say they're both supposed to be comedies. One just makes me laugh more.
You didn't roll up some pre-made bandit groups and equip them to deprive your PCs of their goods and retain. Look, so I have I have a bandit group. That's a good question. That's a great point, janitor. I have an actual organized bandit group called the Prince's Highwaymen, and they take tolls for the Prince of Ulick. They don't really bother dwarves. They bother Knights of Ulick and humans and elves running through the Principality of Ulick. Yes, the Prince's Highwaymen, and they're all bandits.
Dirty elves.
Exactly, it's perfect. So that's another thing. Incorporate whatever you're doing outdoor into Greyhawk adventuring. So, all right, I babbled enough. Anna, give us something that you want to talk about.
Well, first I want to talk about the outdoors as a tactical environment that is different than the outdoors and in the indoors. And first of all, scale is different. We talked about that. All of a sudden, things that have a range is going to have a field day, so to speak. Another factor that is way more important outdoors, especially if you, like me, you have huge areas and the characters can actually spread out over a square mile and fight if they want to, or even more. Then speed becomes way more of a factor too. You can run away from a threat, or you can run towards a threat. You can run past, you can run in, throw away a spell or missile attack, and then run away from it again, so to speak. So speed,
easier to hide.
Exactly. Speed and range becomes factors that are way more than others, so to speak. And to go with this comes something that is, I think, often overlooked, and especially when it comes to different play styles, and that's that's tactical decisions and knowing your surroundings. If you have theater of the mind, for instance, it's up to the game master, because as a player say, oh, I want to skirt around on the right and find a favorable position where I can see the enemy from a better angle or something. Is it higher ground or whatever? Then all of a sudden that becomes more of a mind game between the DM and the player. And that can be tricky, because I've been so many times that the DM just screws with me, and all of a sudden I'm in a disadvantage no matter what I do, so to speak. And I don't like that. That's why I like I do with big maps, that you actually can see. You can see where the trees are. You can see, okay, it's high here, low there. If I go behind the trees, I can actually skirt around them, and they will not see me in the meantime, etc. And possibilities like that. So that opens up for a tactical type of play that I think it's cool on a not per during each round, but over each minute, so to speak. You can have a lot of tactical play leading up to combat. You can see each other from a mile away, and you can start maneuvering long before there is even combat, and get to a favorable position, so to speak. So there is a level of that is often not even utilized, that type of cool thing, because that can be part of the story. You can use your speed over 5 minutes, meaning who can run up and claim the hill before the other side. You see someone else there a mile away and we're a mile away, and realize, oh, that's some awesome boulders up there. What if we run up and capture that hill and use that as our stand, so to speak, against the orc army that comes? Or if they run up first and catch us on the way or something, and so you can say, oh, all of a sudden there's like an advanced orc group that is already sneaking up, and they're up there in the boulders. When you're halfway up, you realize that you actually caught between the orcs that are already up there and the other ones coming up, so to speak. Then it was a bad decision. But if you manage to get up to these rocks and boulders and hide up there, or trees, before any of the orcs come up, then it might be the brilliant one. And it's much more fun when you have a few die rolls and some clever thinking that can lead to it, so to speak. So that's type of play I love to, and I rarely get a chance to see it in other games. But it's hard to do on a game table. It can be done in theater of the mind, and so I urge all DMs, don't try to outwit your players in this. Give the players some good slack and have fun with it, and outwit them occasionally, not every time, so to speak. And if the players play smart characters that have been around doing this, seasoned warriors and rangers and stuff, they should be aware of this. They should know this. Don't, just because the players is a newbie, don't use that to his or her advantage or disadvantage, so to speak. You should kind of, if they play season,
what you're describing, Anna, I try to do a lot, and that is the macro pre-setup of the situation that goes on the table, right? So, and I give them, all right, tactically, what are your plans? What are you going to do? And that'll affect positioning and all the other things that happen. And once it goes to the table, then it goes into the R1E2E miniatures rules at that point.
Because there's all styles of play can do this. It's just a matter of you as a DM and you as players have to think about it. How do I, because all styles of play have advantages and disadvantages. So there is always, so try to play on your play style's strengths and try to mitigate the weaknesses, so to speak. And if you do that carefully, every style of play will be a treat to be part of, so to speak. So
simple example. I'm sorry, Will. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is a good example of flanking. Now, what I mean by flanking, not in the traditional sense of I'm on this side of the enemy and somebody's on the other side. Not that flanking. Actual military flanking. When do you actually see that being done in a dungeon? Lots of times you can't. How are you going to flank somebody when the combat's going in a 40 by 40 room? You're not flanking somebody. It's like I love it when characters go, I'm going to sneak over here and try and get behind him to backstab. I'm like, how are you going to sneak? You're right there. He sees you. There's just no sneaking there. But I got
2 feet tall grass. You can hide half an army.
Exactly.
Or
and that's one of the things. Even if you're in an engagement. If you're in engagement with trees, if 2 of your people split off and go running into woods, 10 feet, you might not be visible to the enemy anymore. And then the enemy doesn't know where you're at, and you can try and flank the enemy. That's a tactic that you can use outside that is rarely able to be done actually effectively. Unless you've got something like Jay's saying, invisibility in the dungeon, you know.
Or you're a Shadow Mage in my game, Shadow Mage Thief or something.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to tell you a spell that I use once every so often because I don't want to get overused. I'm going to give away a secret here. What is one of the coolest, and it's a magic user spell that you can use in these kind of combat situations? There's an awesome, it's 4th level. It's an unbelievably awesome spell. It's not even an illusionist spell. What is it?
Phantom terrain?
Yes, but it's something specific. There's a spell.
So something that does it does
hallucinatory terrain, but
it's called Mass Morph. Mass Morph, and you can turn an entire hallucinatory terrain's good, but that's illusionist. So it's Mass Morph. Look it up. Mass Morph. You can turn your entire group into just trees. And they can't hear you or see you or anything. And I've done it. I do it multiple times against
They have
them.
a version. They do have a version of that in 5th.
Okay,
I forget the name of it, but they have because
great spell.
That's the critical role one where they changed everybody into cows.
And the cool thing is that works against a lot of enemies, but if they have some high-level spellcaster, someone who can see through stuff and dispel magic and detect stuff like that, that means that spellcasters and intelligence creators and stuff like that could be really useful, even if they can't cast a spell. Outdoors, they can be useful in their detection abilities can be as important as their spellcasting abilities.
Yeah. Well, and see, this is another thing. I forget the name of the author, but there's a book out, and I love it when new players rediscover old things, and it's the monsters know what they're doing.
Yes.
And the reason that this book, I think, was so successful amongst this generation of D&D players is because being so story-based, a lot of the monsters are dumb to allow the story to progress. But also, too, this has always existed in every edition because if you think about it, the monsters, when they roll up and they see a wizard or a cleric, they should be pounding those dudes right off the bat and go right after them hardcore. But lots of times as DMs, we're not going to do that because we don't we don't want the guy who's playing the cleric or the wizard to feel bad. Okay, it's like,
well, you should feel appreciated in all senses.
Right. It's like I could just see being the wizards like the first third
you should have the love of IUs
every time they're always shooting arrows at me, and I'm like, yeah, wizard.
So here's a spell real quick. I just brought it up.
Oh yeah, please.
10 creatures per level of experience of the magic user. So that's 70 for this. Furthermore, these metamorph creatures can be passed through and even touched by other creatures without revealing the illusion. So there you go. So pretty neat.
That's big. That last part right there. That's really big.
Who do you think used this on me first when I was a kid?
Tim.
Yes. You knew it right off the bat.
You were in them, and then they were pumping you too.
Exactly. And we're like, So,
and now I want to say some prayers for dragons, because dragons is an outdoor creature, something that is living on the wing and so on. Don't lock a dragon out in a dungeon. Use them out in the wilderness, so to speak, out in the outdoors, and especially at 3rd edition when they started getting movement rates up in the hundreds. If you have a dragon that has a movement rate of 120 or 160, you can use that because it can be outside of spell range, move in, attack, like snatch or do a breath weapon, and be outside of the spell range in the same round. That is just devastating.
Drop rocks.
Exactly.
Rocks.
It's outdoors. Dragons are so scarily nasty, and I've had several campaigns where they realize that trees are the best thing ever, and forests are dragons you don't go outdoors where there's in dragon areas. You don't go out in the open because you're sitting ducks and you will not survive it. It will come by and snatch one or two of you and burn the rest, or use the breath weapon or spell, or just sit on them for or come by, so to speak. And you don't. The only way you can do it is see it and set up an attack and an action and be prepared, so to speak. And that you will not survive. And I think that's the way it should be, so to speak. That's how you should use dragons. Yep.
I would like to know what edition. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say second edition is when it comes into play. Earthbind came around.
Earthbind.
Earthbind, because I know they use it in it's one of the spells in 5th edition that it's one of their balancing ones. Basically what it is you can bind, energy vines or tentacles shoot out from the ground, grab a flying target and pull it to the ground.
Okay.
And bind it.
Not from the air, not ground to air, but there was they had Grasping Hands of Horror, and they also had Stony Grass, Maximilian Stony and Earthen Grass. Their first edition.
A Wall of Force can be interesting against dragons. That might work.
Wall of Iron if they're in range.
Oh yeah. Yep. Stuff like that. Yep.
If you can time it right.
Yep. That's why my celestial dragons can dimension door, just because of that. So if you put something up in the front of them, they can just pass through it, so to speak, or just skip that bit and come out on the other side. Yeah, because they move so fast, so they wouldn't survive if they didn't have that ability.
There are certain spells that that came out in miscellaneous spells. I bet you Ed created some of them. That my Air Elementals class has, that they can stop flying creatures right in their tracks as an Air Elemental, but that's very specific. So, but yeah, there are some, but no, it's later editions. It's later editions in 1E2E. They allowed ground to air grasp.
Yeah. And
so.
But that
I
makes
bet it was second. There's so many spells in second edition.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was never part of the traditional player's handbook canon. But I'll guarantee it's in those. What are those? The 4-volume set of.
Oh my God!
Ones on. It's like on the onion paper. It's
no. That has every single spell that was published up to second edition.
Yeah,
there's thousands and thousands of spells. Yep, absolutely. The encyclopedias. There
you go, chat. That's your homework. I want you to find out. Was it Landbind? No, I can't even remember the name of the spell.
Earthbind, you said.
Earthbind, that's it. Yeah. Find out what edition that comes from. There you go.
Cool topic there. All right, Will, what do you want to bring up during this discussion? What would you like to discuss?
I want to dive into weather.
Okay.
And
good one.
I really think probably one of the well, first I'll start off with this. I'll tell you how I do random encounters when I'm doing wilderness stuff. Essentially, I have the players roll. I don't roll these. I have the players roll D100, and I'll choose different ones to roll. And whoever's on the not rolling really well, that's usually the one I pick, and I tell them that's why. And essentially, they're going to roll, and if they roll over 25, they're good. Nothing happens because it's a big old out there. If you roll under 25, something's going to happen. If you roll 10 or lower, it's really bad what's going to happen to you. And if you happen to roll 100, forget about it. It's big. And so and basically all I do is I draw up a list of everything that could happen or go on in there, in wherever they're at. And then basically I will pick and choose depending on just how they roll. So the lower they roll, the better. So actually, I'm sorry, a 0-1, not 100 is the worst. So when I was running the Bone March campaign and they were going around doing their different jobs for the town that they were helping out, they were going back and forth across the Harp River. Okay, so they had gone across the Harp River, the opposite side of the town that they're helping out, which I forget the name of it now. and going and doing some work. Now, this is on a time-sensitive mission, not to mention they have to go every 3 days. They would check back in and they would swap out with the other there was another adventuring group that they were competing with there. So they're going back. Somebody rolled under 25. So then I'm like, okay, well, let's see what's going to happen here. And then I roll on this one here, happened to have some random encounters for setup because of the area. It was weather. I was like, okay. Now I just said, okay, roll the D100 for me again. I want to see how intense. They roll a 1. So basically, a torrential, once in a lifetime rainstorm hit the area, dropping tons of water. It flooded the Harp River, which they couldn't pass anymore.
That's awesome.
Because the ferry that they would take to get back across the river had washed out the home where the person lived, the ferryman, that got washed away too. They had to wait because there was nobody that had flying or anything. They were just stuck on the other side, and they had to wait for the river to go down to an acceptable level for them to cross. So it's like almost a week later, they get across the river and start going back to the town. Well, in the time when they were gone, there's a separate encounter table that I was just rolling up over here for the town, and the dragon that was in the area attacked while they were gone. And the reason that they were supposed to be back every 3 days to switch out with the other adventuring group was because the dragon might attack. And the reason it was so poignant is they were supposed to be on guard duty, but slipped out to go do this while the other adventurers were gone. And so they couldn't make it back to the town. The town got beat up by the dragon. They come back to town. Everybody hates them. And it was all based off of just a simple weather thing that happened, And you should put in as much weather as possible into your outdoor adventuring. It doesn't have to be harsh, but if you want to give anything a little bit of flavor, put some weather into it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. And then if you roll something bad, it could be weather, and it doesn't have to be a deadly encounter, but it's going to give, like, how many times have you had people out adventuring and had a lightning storm? And we've got a bunch of guys walking around in what?
Metal armor.
Mm-hmm. And then you could just tell the guys, it's like, oh, don't worry. It's only a 15% chance that you're going to get struck by lightning for every hour that you're out in it or whatever, however you want to do it. And then just chuck some dice. You might have, 15% chance of actually hitting somebody with lightning. That's not a big deal. But you're going to scare the hell out of them to the point where that whole encounter is a little something. So...
Original 83 box set has in the glossography. Hey, thanks, Dave. Has a great weather generation chart for you. Just a place to start.
I'm going to put a link here for a Greyhawk weather service you can find online. You can actually generate weather for different parts of the world, and I do it for like each month. So I have the weather for the place they're in.
God, I love technology.
Yeah.
Awesome.
and
so
it's kind of it's a little bit predictable, so to speak, but that's one of the things that I have. Once I get my setup with the GIS, I want to start a Greyhawk weather service. So each week I will do weather forecast for that week in Greyhawk year by year, so you can use those and in your campaign, so to speak. Yeah, I want to do a weather service because it's so much fun to put in, and I just love that. Yeah, so it's yeah.
That's beautiful nerd work at.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
I love that so much.
Yeah. And once I have the right maps and the right symbols and stuff, it's not that much work. Because I want it to be simple to do technically, and because that way I can have weather that evolves over time and stuff. So and since now I have the basic climate of each area, so therefore I can do it. So it's fun. But this one is not bad. You can do a lot of fun with this one. So
could it generate a tornado?
Yes, it generates some exceptional weather from time to time. So you basically
see, that's perfect.
Yeah,
that's
you
perfect.
choose the latitude, and then you choose the month, and you choose the type of terrain. And it's the type of terrain you have to be a little bit, meaning you have forest, jungle, swamp, plains, and stuff.
Right.
So it's a little bit iffy, but go back and forth and generate, and then when you get something interesting, you choose it, because that way you can tell the players, oh, there are ominous clouds coming from the east, and blah 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 and stuff like that. So they can you can kind of
so they can ignore it until it's too late.
Exactly. Yes. Yep.
Just like those weather chasers in what Carrie
Yeah,
Elwes
the storm chasers
in what was that name of that movie with Bill Paxton and
Twister.
Twister,
yeah, Twister, yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
you guys are devious.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't find what I'm looking for. Is that stinks.
Yep.
It's probably under weapons. So some fun things. Weather is cool. Well, I don't use it anywhere near as much as I should.
But weather is also, it's useful because it changes things like the basic circumstance. You can turn terrain into impassable. It can make rivers flood, and all of a sudden it's twice as difficult to get there. You can basically, it can instantly turn the game into a matter of manage resources like water, food, or something like that. If you get a dry spell or whatever, it can change so certain senses like vision and stuff doesn't work well. Even if you have night vision, if fog comes in and no one can see well and stuff. So you can
or
have
snow.
Things, exactly, snow. Everything can get difficult terrain
and so far, and snow messes with sound.
Yes.
So it's like you can hear the goblins, but damned if you can't see more than 50 yards, so you don't know exactly where they're at.
Yeah, and it also makes it easy. All of a sudden, snow makes everybody get a tracking ability.
Yeah, that's true.
So tracking, everybody can track in snow. It's not that simple. Difficult. Once all of a sudden you can see someone walked here, so to speak. But it also, the thing is that if you have a heavy snowfall, means you only have 20 minutes, and the sport it's gone, so to speak. So you can play with a lot of cool stuff like that when you use. And you can also have lightning strikes, meaning all of a sudden a lightning storm makes druids very powerful because they can use that in direct lightning left and right. So
great ones.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, I am going to discuss something I really haven't ever talked about, and that is let's enhance something that's you could use that's outdoor use for your archers and your bow specialists and your short bow specialists and anyone using a bow. You can even do these for crossbows, and that's arrow enhancement. It's nice to have masterwork arrows, normal arrows. I have masterwork, which are just highly crafted +1 to hit. And you get magical arrows +1, +2. Let's give them a little flavor, right? Why don't we flavor these up? The biggest flavor of all, it's in Dungeon Master's Guide First Edition, is the dreaded arrow of slaying, right? Now that's just a little overboard. This is a +3 arrow, and it's a type or it's an individual. We've all, a lot of my players back in the day, I'd give them an arrow slaying evil clerics, an arrow slaying demons. I forget about it for 10 years, and then I bring out this ultra nasty monster, and then out comes arrow slaying demons, boom, and it was auto kill back then. So we made it save versus death magic, and then if they make their save, it's still critical hit on these. They're +3, and this is your arrow of slaying. Give them out. They're one-use items. Give them out once in a blue moon. Right. Okay. So useless.
There was a whole bunch of them in Oriental Adventures.
Yeah.
There's the armor piercing ones, the frog catchers. I don't know what specific state they did. I'd have to.
A lot of them have different. Like for example, in the Slavers reference, Will, the oars like crossbow bolts because it's a special masterwork. It's non-magical. The bolt, when it hits, they feel the need to pull it out, and it'll take extra damage right off the bat.
Yeah.
So that's another cool one as well. Hey, Cave Geek. This one down here, this is one of my favorites of all time, is the Black Arrow of Ayus. Now, this is it's +3, carved from the bone of a black dragon. This enchanted arrow strikes a +3 to hit and damage. I love this. It reappears in the caster's quiver each morning. So it's a once per use item. I've really taken to this once per use item. Once per day, an archer can call upon its deadly powers, causing the target to save versus death magic or die immediately. There you go. Good line character, save at -2. That doesn't mean that good people they can't. They, of course, doesn't say you can't have good characters using it. So, and this is in Greyhawk Adventures, everyone. The great we and once again we don't know who created these things. Jim Ward has no idea. They did it all in 90 days. I wish we knew who created what and what spells and slaying arrows were specifically named monsters. That's a good thing. A good way to limit them, Pat. That's a good way. Absolutely. Had Ranger with a green arrow Hawkeye quiver full of different arrows. That's cool too, Jeff. That's neat. Quivers of the Line are perfect for that. All right. Take this adventure from Dungeon Crawl Classics, The Lost Arrows of Aristemis. Let's take it one. And this is levels 1 to 3. I love this adventure back in the day. We ran it. I think it was like an adventure number 700. So it wasn't that long ago. This is a 3rd edition, I believe, adventure. And you come to page 4, and there's all these special. Arrows that. And once again, when these hit, they appear each day, and when they hit, we have them. They critical hit. And here's the different colors, and here's the targets. And this is a neat mix. Oozes, evil outsiders, which is demons and stuff, monstrous humanoids, goblinoids, animals, plants. It's a neat mix here. So it's something to take a look at this adventure, The Lost Arrows of Aristemis, DCC. It's a cool one. It'll give you some more arrows. Yep. So lastly, I've created a lot of my own. I'm going to share a couple. This is, and we just talked about this, well, at least I mentioned it in chat. This is Bones' character, Devin of House Springus. She's a bandit. She has 2 items I've given out. Also, look for the Cavalier article, and the Elven Cavalier have special arrows as well. They give for doing deeds and of noble status. I thought that was a cool thing too. The House Springus Flare Arrow. On hit, it gives a light spell, 30-foot radius. Simple. It will do damage still. And it returns the quiver each day, so it's a reusable one. And then she also has an Arrow of Truth. And it's keen. And on a crit, it does a minimum of triple. And it returns. And that is 2 others. And there's all these things you can create. If you're going to make it a reusable everyday item, make it sure that it's a momentous find, right?
I like the idea of the light arrow. That's cool.
Yeah, flare arrow. Absolutely. You hit with light spell. Yeah, definitely. Also, I've seen arrows used for grappling arrows. That's a cool idea. You take that, and it's a magic one, and it turns into a grappling hook when it hits for ropes and stuff going up like a cliff face or something. There's all different sorts of ideas you can do to change up and add a little flavor in. I mean, arrows are cool. I fire my +1 arrows. Give them a little bit of flavor here. So light arrow, non-flammable light source. Yeah, that's it. Make them. And if you've played Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, there's acid arrows and flame arrows. You can do an extra point or 2 damage of each of those. You can always add like points of acid damage, cold damage to your arrows. Another place. How to stop overwhelming oppression. Light arrows. Yeah, you can. It's just ways to do things and just have some fun. And then we can always, at some point, there's a ton of different things you can do with bows. So,
page 43 in the Oriental Adventures
cool.
has those.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you for that find. Very cool. Water arrows. Yeah. I don't know, firing arrows underwater is kind of hard, but that's where crossbows come in handy. So,
see, I was thinking of arrows that, like, when they hit the water, fell out. Like if you're fighting something that's fiery.
Yeah, Pat, that's a Conan ability where the seek arrow, and it turns into a snake after it hits. Yeah. Exactly.
But that was cool back in the day. That was.
Oh yeah,
really
it was.
It's cool now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did that come out 82? 81, 82?
I think it's 80.
It was that early.
You know what? I'll find out.
I think I was in junior high, so 80 sounds about right. 82 something sounds about right.
Yeah. The cannibalism kind of when I was a kid kind of freaked me out.
I think 83.
82.
I think yeah, because I knew that I've started playing D&D when I saw it. So otherwise I wouldn't have been that interested in that movie at all. But
yeah,
I started playing.
1982.
Yep.
Okay, Anna, what do you want to discuss in this outdoor adventuring discussion?
Well, one type of resource management that is often overlooked is when you have overland chases. you can have, there is a lot of interesting, excuse me,
Oops.
a lot of interesting rules and stuff that comes into play. Pathfinder did a lot of, they had the rules for chasing, but that was more like tactical indoors. But you can have long-term, look at Lord of the Rings, like the second movie, when they have that through Rohan, when they have that that type of thing, meaning how you avoid getting caught, or how do you catch someone that has miles ahead, and you involve tracking, you involved your stamina, wilderness survival, movement rate, and all that, so to speak, and some luck rolls. That's the type of a resource management that can be interesting to do, so to speak. And if you mix it up with some perception and some random encounters and stuff, it can be really interesting game sessions, so to speak, that an overland chase. Either you chase someone or someone is chasing you, or back and forth, so to speak.
Excellent. So
thank you, T. Paris. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So almost all the fights. Well, so they may be, dragon fights may be outside. Well, yeah, reverse gravity is a high level spell, and that'll screw up anything.
Yeah. But it works, so it's such a small area, so outdoors it doesn't do much.
Yeah, that's true too.
Unless you cast it on something and it disappears into space.
Indoor dragons are much more deadlier than outdoor, and the reason is that they have the defensive position if the DM's smart, where you only see their head or part of their body, and you're not having
outdoors. I'm the other way around. Dragons outdoors. Outdoors dragons are 10 times more. Yeah, because they can strike. They come in, fly over, and hit you, and are gone before you can retaliate.
Yeah.
You have to.
If you want to be mean, you never even get a shot at them.
Exactly. You have to prepare an action. You have to sit still, prepare an action. Otherwise, you're sitting ducks. And if you're out in the open, the dragon can simply go around and nibble at you over time until your resources run out, arrows, spells, whatever.
Well,
and then
the dragon comes in, takes out the wizard.
Yep.
And then it's like, all right, shoot me with your arrows.
Yep. And come in and snatch the biggest fighter and or whatever. And
they don't even come down. They just go grab a boulder.
See, that's interesting because in my games of archers and spellcasters and stuff, it's just like they just pepper the crap out of that thing flying.
Well, see, that's where you're a nice DM, because you could have them be out of range.
Well,
very easy. Yeah. They're up there.
Yeah.
And it's like, all you say is, hey, what's that dot that's growing? Oh, it's a rock.
Yeah, that's one thing. And also what you need to do in my games, in order to, because it comes in fast, that means that you have to ready an action, and you only get one arrow at it before it's gone, so to speak. And the dragon can take that easily, so to speak. And it meaning it gets one attack, you get one attack. And on a 1-per-1 attack, the dragon will win out over time.
But like I say, it's like, as the DM, you want to give him a shot at killing him. It's like,
and a low flying dragon at speed 200.
Yeah, he comes down to monologue.
Oh, 160,
and he's
whatever.
Within range. Yeah. What are you gonna
do? He will topple you over and bring you away. So dragons out in the open when you have nowhere to hide are lethally dangerous.
Okay, I gotta I know what would happen in my game, and I get all this argument and fighting because you didn't do it that way for the last 30 years.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
And that's my problem because archers get 3 arrows per round at 7th level.
It's going so fast that they are lucky if they get one, and they get negatives, and they can only shoot at it when it's coming in, and only if they ready an action, and they need to see it.
Well, even if, let's say if you're gonna just be mean to the players, which I'm all for sometimes, if the dragon's flying in, it's like, okay, you hit him with 3 arrows. The dragon, as it turns around, goes, oh, that's the next target.
Yeah, and he can hit you back with a breath weapon.
Yeah,
and
it's the same reason why he he took out the wizard when he was first coming in. I was like,
yeah,
you ain't gonna cast none on me.
yeah, and also the dragon can simply go around and wait until it's recharged the breath weapon, come in and do it again, and then go around if you're really nasty.
But that's like so mean.
Oh yeah, it's very mean.
So mean. I was, here's the thing. When I was running that campaign in the Bone March, I was worried because the main bad guy was in the adventure. It was pre-made that I dropped in there, was from out of the Essentials kit, is a young white dragon. Okay. Now I turned it into a campaign where the major bad guy was an ancient crystal dragon, but neither here nor there. I was still worried about these low-level characters being able to take on this dragon, right? If they ran into him outside. And I was thinking, well, if they're able to get him in his lair, maybe it's young and so forth. And here's another thing: this too got rolled up random encounter. There is a possibility that you can run into the dragon just hunting around and have stuff. And that's what happened. They ran into the dragon. I wasn't even ready for this. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to have to kill somebody. Maybe I'll just take one person and that'll be fine. But they were to the level, the wizard cast Earthbind. The dragon gets dragged down to the ground and they just all dog piled on him and clobbered him. And I was like, oh, well, that was rather uneventful. So, and I was like, and I was so worried that I was like, well, maybe I'll just kill one of them.
Well, I'll say this.
I'll just grab one and take it away as a hostage.
the only time Aaron has ever died in my campaign was from a purple dragon.
Yes.
So at least I got some, but I had two dragons.
Was it the breath weapon?
I didn't expect anything less, so it's good. Yep.
Guild Superior, Anna can tell you about Cluster Coroners. Go ahead,
yeah,
Anna.
It was, I thought it was something that was, it came from a post on Cannon Fire, and I didn't realize it was until much later that it was actually someone's own home game creation, so to speak. So I forgot who did it. I'm sorry if you're watching this because I forgot your name, but you sent me information much later that you created it. So, but then it's been there for 2 decades or something. So right. It stayed there. So it's actually not published source.
Canon.
Yeah, exactly. It became canon. So after a long time.
So it's not the Green Dragon from the Gord novels.
No, that's the one that I named Rothgord. That is near south of or near the hang on.
Yeah, because the Gord guy was never named, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the one that is near just southwest of Mistraine. I named that dragon Rothgord, but that's roughly where the lair is from the Gord books. But in the Gord books, it's just a big green dragon. It doesn't have a name, so I named him in my campaign. But the area where the lair is, it's from the Gord books. So it's a combination of it. So yeah.
That's cool, though, man. That you're using something that's on the. That's why the map's there, man. Utilize it. Utilize the hell out of the map. I love I love that area. I've got a lot of adventuring going on in Norwell now. So, dragons are a could be a big part of it. Is that the one Robler rides on the cover of Artifact of Evil? No, I don't think so.
I'm not sure it's Robler that rides it. It might be. I forgot about that. But it's the one that is on the cover of the Artifact of Evil. Yes.
Yeah, is that Robler on that cover?
I'm not sure if it's Robler, but it's the dragon that
I thought that was what was that?
It's Daedrian Gord in the chariot of fiery chariot.
I thought the guy on the dragon was I can't remember his name, the assassin that was hunting him.
I forgot which. Yeah, but it's part of the
looks like I need to read them again.
Yep, me too. Exactly. We need to read them again. So
yeah.
I'm gonna start trouble now. Don't tell Robler his henchman is now a gnome. Because Big B was his henchman.
Yeah.
Big B was a henchman of Robler. That's how it started.
So is it that's out, that book?
Yeah. He dies and Mordenkainen reincarnates him.
In that book, they actually say that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I don't have a wish spell or anything. I'm a 26 level. I don't just snap my fingers, do a wish spell, and bring him back. I got to reincarnate him and torture him.
Wow. Okay. See, I need to find that. I need to. Here's the thing: is like I don't buy Wizards of the Coast stuff anymore.
Right.
No, me neither.
You did, Norker. You did. You did.
I need to find out.
Oh my God. Yeah.
This story.
So, but I digress. I'm sorry. I apologize. I digress.
Oh well, we have to have some fun with that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Criticize all you want. That's silly.
Yeah, that's
but it's fun when they made Bippy into a
I can
gnome.
bust
That was
there. Here, I'm gonna blue ball them. There goes blue box. Blue box, blue ball. Perfect time. We'll hit the raid up and we'll hit. So say John, we're talking outdoor adventuring.
Hi guys.
I'm gonna tie. Thank you so very much. There you go. Blue
Hello.
box, blue balls. So we're talking outdoor adventuring here, and we're just going on a digression. And we got a secondary blue box ready for some extras. Thank you. So. My brain just shut off. I can bust Watsy's balls as much as I want until one of them comes.
We
on the
all
show.
can.
Until they come on the show once. We can bust their stones all we want.
They're not. They don't even go on. They don't go to Gen Con anymore, man. They don't do nothing.
I know, but you never know.
You don't. I mean, that'd be awesome. Talk about a coup. That'd be awesome.
Well, you never know. I mean, I bother Merles every year at Gary Con about it, so we'll see. So all right. We got 3 giveaways for every blue box who came in. So exclamation point drawing, hang in there. We got a $15 gift certificate to Troller Games. We have a Ravens Rook hard copy from Will, right? Which is actually Rook Roost.
Yes.
Okay, and we also have one in PDF. So those are the 3 giveaways. All right. For all of you outside the continental United States, please note shipping is going nuts. So please do don't do the hard copy of Ravens Rook, please. Okay. But yes.
Cannonball. Thank you.
They do, Mike. I'm trying, I'm trying to get some of them involved too in Virtual GrowdCon. So, all right.
Oh, hey, I figured out what I'm running.
Awesome.
I just need to post it up now.
Just need to submit it.
I'm running.
That's awesome.
As you can tell, I need to look because I can't remember off the top of my head. It is the adventure, the not prequel. What do they call that? The adventure leading into Return to Keep on the Borderlands. IQ3 Warriors of the Grey Queen.
Oh, nice.
From Inquest magazine 50.
Yes, that's a great one. Good
so
one.
I'm gonna run that. I'm gonna do a little homebrew to give it a little extra content. So I'm gonna be putting that up there.
Alex,
and I'm gonna be it'll be Old School Essentials. I'll be running it in.
That's awesome.
Probably.
It's great.
Yeah.
This way I don't really have to do any conversion. Really.
So everyone who rated in, thank you. Just note, this started this morning with Troller Games got a game. They rated into Blue Box. Blue Box has 2 games and comes to us. It's a full day of content here in the community, which is awesome. But that's great to hear the Inquest one. That's really cool. I think I got a copy off of someone in the community because I didn't even.
Good luck. That thing is hard to get.
I got a PDF of it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a hard.
It's like physically. Oh man, that thing's expensive.
Well, thank you for doing that.
I would spend that kind of money. I think there's one up currently on eBay because I checked a couple of days ago. $120.
Yeah.
And the adventure's 15 pages. It's an insert.
Yep.
The Inquest 50's in a bag, and it's an insert. So it's like you can forget about that.
That's like getting the one I have from what do you call it? Number 8 or 9.
Yep.
Yeah, that one. The second edition adventure. All right, Will, what do you got?
Well, when it comes to adventuring out in the, I guess really, and we touched on this a little bit, is resources. But I think too, you really need to. There's a reason 5th edition did away with it, right?
Okay.
So, is it something that you want to do? Do you want a resource track? And if you do, then outdoor traveling. Because it's shocking how much Well, not really. I mean, because it's based off of actuality. How many rations and how many gallons of water you're consuming and have to find. So, but if you're going to do it, you're going to have to go. You can't do it in 5th edition unless you go and you get it from some third party. Because again, this ranger ability just irks the hell out of me. It was essentially, if there's a ranger in your group, he can always find sufficient water and food for your party, provided it's just like there's an outsider background. They can find enough food and water for everybody in your party, provided there is sufficient in the area. They don't even have to do anything. Don't have to make any rolls. Nothing. They just go out. There's a, grocery bag sitting there, a couple of gallons of water. They just pick it up and bring it back to the party. So, but I myself am not a resource guy. I like rolling for the encounters going through, when you're going per hex, and definitely have a set number of non-deadly encounters that you can throw at the PCs. Something that you can have, believe it or not, one of the best ones I've ever seen was from Boot Hill.
Oh yeah,
Boot Hill's random encounter chart, 2nd edition Boot Hill.
So is that Alan Hammock write those? Do you know who did those?
I don't know, because I'd have to take a look and see who wrote the 2nd edition. But yeah, and it had like all kinds of like just weird stuff, like a broke down. What do they call the guy that he wasn't a medicine man, but he's like peddling, Quicksilver in a bottle and all that sort of stuff. You can find one of those guys, and his cart was broke down. You can find there was a photographer out taking pictures of the landscape, just like, and they were all actual things that you could find out and about, And I think that's something else that's really important that you could have in your adventure if you're going around outside. Have plenty of encounters that can be like hunters out hunting. If you're traveling and they're close to like civilization, now granted it could be quite away from that civilization, but they could run into some hunters and they could give them valuable information about this or that, or hey, we heard something going on over here or something going on over there. Are there mines up in the mountains between where the adventure is and whatnot? There's definitely, you could run into the miners coming to and from. They could have load of ore or coming back with supplies. Which one do the humanoids want to ambush? You could come across the ambushed wagon afterwards, with one guy still alive. Are you going to waste your resources on helping this one guy? Then what are you going to do? Well, of course you got to help him. Then you got to bring him along with you. And then you got to go and drop him off at the mines. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with encounters that give everything more flavor and make it more realistic.
Absolutely.
That you can do. And my recommendation is just sit down and just make out a bunch of ideas, write them all out, and then attach some numbers to them. And then every once in a while, when you want to, you can roll them up, or you can just go pick them. I usually pick depending on, I'll go through, look at it, see what strikes my fancy, or whatever fits the situation in which that they're in.
Okay. I'm going to ask a question back outside of streaming, because streaming is all. It's all, it's, you gotta have things moving. Yes. How much do you like with those kind of issues, both of you, relating to encampment encounters?
Encampment encounters?
Like you're camping at night and you're getting those. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
I'm not really big on them.
Okay.
I leave it to the same possible resolution that I do with every other encounter. If they go into that hex, and basically I'm going to roll 1 for the day, 1 for the night. If there's nothing, okay, great, good. It doesn't matter to me. If there is, it'll depend, because if the players do something, let's say if I rolled an encounter, but the players knew that they're in goblin territory, like, okay, we're going to set up these precautions to make sure that we don't get ambushed during the night. If they go through that, then kudos to them. I'm gonna take a look at what they did. It's like there's no fire. We set up tripwires and we make sure that we've got a good watch. All right, that's a lot. That's pretty good. And depending on how the person that you have watching, so chances of them getting surprised, I might give them a bonus or something like that, depending on the situation, depending on what they do. Did they put their guy in the one place that's going to give them a really good vantage point for all around? If players go that extra mile, even if it's not really, possibly the best thing, yeah. If they don't, if they go, okay, we camp, that's when I'm more inclined to go, okay, cool.
I was just curious on the play style. What about you, Anna, with that?
Well, first of all, the way I would do random encounters in this case will be to figure out, okay, if they're in goblin territory or bandits or whatever, what enemies are there in the vicinity? Probably say that, okay, there's a group of 20 orcs that are out just to check on their backyard if there's anything there, so to speak. And then I would simply say, well, how visible have the party been when they go into camp, so to speak? Meaning, do the orcs are the orcs the tactics? Do they sit up on a hill and where they can scout out the whole area and then see the people that the party move 2 miles away, so to speak, or do they have like some sort of a tame little bird that can run around doing things for them or something like that? Meaning, do they know where the character come? Then they know where the characters camp out, so to speak.
Okay.
And then what I would do, have the orcs do, first of all, they might not know the strength of the party. So I would have the orcs send out a little scout party. So the first ones that will attack will be a probing party. They will send in 2 goblins or 3 goblins to send some arrows that way and yell and scream a bit. And throw some rocks or something just to see the reaction of the players. If the players start throwing spells left and right, whatever, if they appear really powerful, then the orcs will be no, we're not going to go and attack. If they're just a little bit weak and start looking like they're scared, like sitting like this, then the orcs will be like, damn, they might be a mouthpiece and they might attack. So for me, it was much more gradual. I try to think from as the enemy, what would the enemy do? What resources would they have, so to speak, and what do they know? So for me, it's much more than just one rand. I might make a roll to see if there is an opposing force in the vicinity, so to speak, during the day. So I think, okay, who are in the vicinity, friend or foe? And then I will start to see, okay, what do they gather for information, what do they know, and then what do they do, so to speak. It's something I build gradually during the encounter, so to speak, and then we'll see what happens. And you can also I had played with some players who've been around the bend a few times. So what they did was that they did the fishhook maneuver. So they basically went around and went back and waited, and so when they were and then ambushed the one that followed them. It's a great one. Or you can set up you set up a little campfire, and then you camp 50 feet away, and everybody's sitting with missile weapons and waiting and see who ambushed the fire, and then take them out. So you can go back and forth ad infinitum doing this and have fun with it, so to speak. So
that's a great idea.
That goes back to something like you had said earlier, Anna.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think DMs don't do nearly enough of is build drama.
Yeah.
And suspense
in
their games. It's more of a boom, boom, you fight. Boom, boom, you fight. Say, for example, the party's moving along. They're traveling through the wilderness, and in the distance, there's that orc party. Yeah. Now you can see them, and they're so far away. Okay, so what do the players do now? Are they going to try and hide their tracks, or what are they going to do? Try to throw the orcs off their track.
Yep.
And then if they try something, then you can do some resolution rolls and see what happens. But what if then the next day you look and you see the orcs again, and the orcs are closer? They're not, so it's like, so you get the anticipation building. So, and what about on the second day, if you see the orcs and you see the orcs are closer, but you all also notice that, wow, it looks like there's about half as many as there were yesterday. and you don't know where the other half is. Stuff like that, man. It's like, that's great. You just add a little, sprinkle a little bit of that action in there. Watch your players freak out.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, and I did once that one of the little goblins that the hobgoblins had sent out, and the hobgoblins were they were orcs that treated the goblins so bad that the goblin was like, damn, these look like powerful warriors. Maybe they can go and kill the orcs and let me out. So he came waving a white flag, like really like, oh, please don't kill me, please don't kill me, and we're yelling and screaming in goblin, and the players were like, oh, it's a goblin, that started shooting at him, and he was like, no, and he was like screaming, and a little flag come up, and I really tried to play it, and after a while I play, what is he saying? It was like, don't shoot,
right,
and don't shoot, please, and stuff like that, and then they actually, and he said, oh, they're over there, and they're like 17 of them, and so on and so forth, and there's like one shaman, and he's a real nasty bugger, and whatever, please go and kill them, and so on, and I know where their treasure is buried and stuff, so I had fun with it. So you can try to come up with more than the regular ambush, meaning try to tweak it one way or the other, and make it into drama, like you said. What was that? Like make the regular encounter into drama. You don't need a specific cool monster to do it. Just turn these critters that are stat blocks into real creatures with flesh, blood, desires, and fears, and stuff like that, and have fun with it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, I'm going to show something that I think everyone should experience once or twice in their life. I think it fits real well in the Greyhawk, particularly if you want to do old faith adventuring.
Yeah.
And that is, go to the Celtic mythos in the original D's and Gammy guys and check the Wild Hunt out.
Yeah.
One of my favorites of all time.
Yep.
It is, and I'm not saying do the Wild Hunt itself, which you could, do it, but do it as a master scenario, especially if you love dealing with Flan druids. I think it fit. You can really make it work as part of a part of that. I've had this done. We did it one time in the Vestby Forest in like 1988 or 89. This happened. It was awesome.
I wrote a whole article, and it's all about the hunt and the bearers of the rovers of the barons and their association to it and their version of it. So yeah, I'm gonna try and see if I can find it. I think it's on the Patreon now. Let's see. But essentially, I statted up and I put it in there, and how, let's see. Do I?
And we haven't talked about
Rovers of the Barons. Here it is.
Awesome. Is it on? Is it in your Patreon?
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna put the
link it to that, and I'll
the link on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Rovers of the Barons and the Wild Hunt. So it's basically their version and their association with the Wild Hunt. So. And
it is a fantastic. There you go. Now I'm gonna risk doing this, because I have it on my laptop, not on here. So I got to go here. I got to go here. I got to go here, and then I can link it off that, off there, off that. Boom. I got to turn that off. Okay, now I'm to that page. I should be to that page. So real quick, what I would say is, what I have done so that the master is around in my campaign is, in my druids area of Vestby, I have specialty druids, just like I have specialty priests. And maybe if we do a druids discussion, we'll get into this more. Yeah, look at my search history. No, you don't want to do that. That's yeah. But one of them is, I took the Malar beast aspect from Forgotten Realms and turned it into the Master of the Hunt. So the Master of the Hunt's the neutral evil aspect that these Avengers and especially druids in the Vestby can worship. Alana's the good one, Ceranos is the neutral one, and then I got Rolfane Ralphel for the elves. So but yeah, let me see what you got here on this, Will. I thought I linked to it. Did it not go to it?
No, that's the first page.
That's the other one. That's the other one. That could be the other one. I may have two of them open. Do I have two? No, there's Chagmat. Did I mess up? Oh, here it is. It's connected here. It did not.
Okay, so I'll show you where you can find it. So just scroll up.
Up, yeah.
Up on that page, and you see the list right there. It shows.
Yep.
if you go into the others, right next to the dragon, yep, click there.
Yeah.
And then see, it'll say Rovers. Yep, click that. It's the very first one.
Awesome. Oh, cool.
And then if you go down, you can click more. It'll open it up more because I have the stats for the Master of the Hunt, the pack
in 5e.
In 5e
That's
and
great.
in
awesome.
AD&D. I put it all together in there, and it's talking about their association with it.
Yeah, you're right. I think Jim Ward actually did write that whole Wild Hunt. If I recall, he said he wrote the whole thing. If I recall from the discussion with him, so nice. Oh, that's great. So you
it's got a
there you go.
Instead of the Celtic, I've gone ahead and I've given it a like American Native American flavor to it. So that's where the Master of the Hunt, instead of having the antlers, he's got the buffalo head.
Yeah, that's a cool pick.
And stuff. Yeah,
that's a cool pick. That's great, man. So I said, Anna's got the greatest Patreon, and Will's got one. It's if you want rights to vote on stuff, it's $3 a month. Everyone, $3. That's it. So
and pretty much it looks like
$2 if you just want the content.
Looks like the Lost City of the Sul is
same picture.
What won?
All right. Well, that
I haven't closed it out yet, but unless there's a massive voting for what's going to be the next adventure, it looks like that's the one.
Yeah. So there you go. I would rename this link Rovers/Wild Hunt so people would know more that was there.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea because I think that's the only thing that I put in there for Rovers.
Yes, there are Wendigos and Skinwalkers. Yes, that's a good point. Wendigo is a really nasty monster. In fact, there's miniatures for it. So I'll make sure next time you adventure, Heather, that very old Heather's, I'll throw a Wendigo in there. They're really nasty. They're scary too, man. Right? We come out with they look like the big deer, right? With the claws and they absolutely are. They are really and they fit right into all this visceral, neutral evil aspect of nature. That's how I think of it as. So.
That's a big part of my flan. So this
exactly.
Right into,
exactly, and that's why I figured out this would be a good.
Oh yeah, okay. That's one of your best things, Will, and you've done so many good things, but this one is awesome. Yeah.
Oh, well,
excellent.
Yep. So many cool things. Yep.
All right, Anna, you were up again. That's what.
Okay.
That will probably be a time for that.
Yeah,
so.
we mentioned seasons before and stuff and weather, but there's another cycle that I think needs to be DM needs to be reminded of, and that's day and night cycle. Anyone who's out hiking knows that day and night cycle means almost everything. A lot of places can be really nice, cozy places by day, but by night you go from hunting to being the hunted and stuff, and you can have all sorts of cool things. That the environment change. Who is out hunting change from day and night. The what you can see and what you can hear change from day and night. The temperature might change and stuff like that. And you can also have fantasy stuff, meaning a magical fog can come at night, so to speak, or certain monsters. An area might get infested with fae that are there to torment you with babble or charm magic or whatever. So if you're out there, you are the prey of these old little fairy dragons come and charm you to oblivion, and you go babbling for the rest of your life, or go fall asleep in a decade if you're there by night or something like that. I mean, you can, in fantasy world, you can have all sorts of nasty stuff happens at night, but not during the daytime. And in the desert, it's the opposite. Daytime, the sun comes and kills you. In nighttime, you can hike and do things. So you can kind of use the day-night cycle. That means that you get a nice little window. And another one that has cycles like that is tides. You might have an adventure where you need to go out and find something that is on the beach, and at high tide it's underwater, and at low tide, or vice versa, they need to traverse with the boat, and then low tide they get stuck in mud and they can't go anywhere because they get stuck in the mud, so to speak, and they have to wait for 12 hours before the tide comes back and lifts them again and stuff. So you have these kind of natural cycles that in nature And there are others you can invent. You have seasonal things that comes, like migration of certain animals. That means that there might be an abundance of whatever, grasshoppers or nasty birds. You can imagine maybe there are birds of prey that comes every 6 months, and it's in the real world it's just some buzzards or hawks and eagles. But what if the giant eagles have a migration season and they're hungry, and that might not be that such a good thing to be sitting in the wrong spot when they come in, 20, 30, 40, 50 of them, and they're hungry.
Nice ones, Troy.
And so there are plenty of stuff like that. So
Troy, yeah. Did you see that one Troy said?
Sturge swarms.
Yeah,
Sturge
exactly,
swarm.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, they might come every evening when just between daylight and night comes, and the sturges rose, or certain times of year and stuff. So that is something you can, and the locals might warn, and there might be a scribble sitting somewhere, and don't go out when they blah blah and so on, because that will be a bad day or something, and you just laugh at it, and then it happens.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yep.
Some great thinking outside the box that
Yeah.
Migration. I never thought of animal migration issues with in Greyhawk. I've never had it. Like that's a great idea. Like that Altamira every so often could get hit by, like, what would be going in and out of the Sewell? Freaking butterfly, even butterflies, right? Monarchs. You could get over and have the caterpillars all over everything. That's disgusting, right?
An example I have that
you could
I've
have.
done. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say you could have something like a migration of a certain type of butterfly that happens to have a predator that comes along and follows the migration.
Yep.
And then that's the real deadly thing. You're out there going, oh, and then the stingtail thing comes flying on you or whatever.
Yeah. I have one that I've done in my campaign, is that Vlekstad, the hold of the Stonefist capital, is by there you have a narrow strip of land between the ocean and the mountains. And the reason they built it there, in my taking, is that narrow strip of land is where the aurochs migrate between the northern grazing grounds in the summer and the winter grazing grounds. So both Gerald Engdahl and Engdahl and Vlekstad are built that way, because that way you can hunt these both spring and fall, and you fill up your meat supplies. But the thing is that then you need to be prepared, because these are nasty beasts. In my campaign, the aurochs, a bull auroch is a CR4 animal, and they usually come in herds of 20 to 200, and the cows are like a CR3 animal. And if 50 of them decide you're a hindrance, they will trample you or overrun you, so to speak. And it doesn't matter if you're a big spellcaster. If 200 of them come, you run, so to speak. So they can become, if they're migration and there are hundreds of them, then you don't want to be in their way, so to speak. They might not want to kill you, but just being scared of you might be enough, so to speak. Or you might want to use them to scare them to run towards the enemy or something. So, or just a nuisance. They're just a terrain that you can't pass at the moment, so to speak. You have to wait.
Well, if I'm remembering correctly, I could be wrong on this, so like the plains buffalo, they have the whole thing about chasing the buffalo off the cliff. And that some native warriors would do that, but that it was learned from watching big cats do it.
Yep.
It's like, and so let's say you guys you got your party out traveling around, and the herd's there, and the herd's fine, no big deal, and then some big predators show up, and then there's a stampede. So you got to deal with the stampede. You got to deal with the predators.
Exactly. So. And these animals, the big predators don't want to share with you guys. So
no.
And the big,
or they think you might be an easier target than that big old.
Exactly. The biggest cats and the biggest wargs and stuff like that will be the natural prey of my aurochs, will be wargs and the biggest cats and the biggest bears and stuff. So they don't want to share, and you might be an easier catch. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun stuff that you can do like that.
Right.
Awesome. Great one. All right, Will, wrap us up because I think it'll take us over the 8:45, 8:50 mark here. We'll see though.
Well, I would say this: keep in mind your distances, and your distance should always be as long as your players want it to be. Don't think when you're starting to set something up and you're going in wilderness travel to go, okay, from this here to here is X amount of miles, that's so and such, that's so many rolls and so many things. Now we're going to do all this. If your party is checked out by the third day of that or the second day of that, then just okay, we're going to have one more roll for the rest of the trip and then go on. And I think that's one of the reasons why that's a little bit more prevalent, that more players tend to prefer that to the to going and doing the hex crawl where you're doing resource management. If that's the case, that's okay, that's fine, feel free, but make sure that you read your players and do that sort of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's plenty of other ways to kill your players. Don't worry about it. You'll have your opportunities later.
And with all the got you, Stefan, and with all the different play styles, we're a lot of the discussion tonight on streaming's out is a whole different world than playing with your group, playing week to week and stopping and being at a point, and you're in a night, you're not pressured to get stuff done. Just note, that's a normal way to play, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we have to force things online. So it's like, oh, your 3 days of travel, nothing happens. You got to understand.
Yeah.
That is.
I think it's fun to watch recently the maturity of the new role players. They're coming in, and you see them going through the phases of being a role player, what they're learning and how they're doing things, and different things along those lines. And it's like, having it easy sometimes is great. Not having it easy sometimes is even better. Just depends.
They learn fast.
How you do it. Yeah.
It took me a decade to go through each of these phases. They do it per month or something. so yeah.
Yeah. And it's, and that's the, I love the fact that I love watching the edition change, regardless of what people say it's not. I love that.
So a lot of people have their first edition change now. It's like the first breakup when you're a teenager. It's dramatic.
So good. It's so good. I love it.
It's nice to stand behind the scenes and know it not going to affect me one bit. Sorry for being selfish.
Yeah.
But
but Jade, you dodged all the edition changes.
All except second.
Yeah,
because first and second are considered A, D, and D, right?
Yeah.
So really, it's second was an enhancement.
It's basically like half an edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then third, there was some, we moved feats.
Yeah, but I consider this 5.5 that comes out now.
Yeah.
I think it's a half.
Thanks, George.
We'll see. Yeah. I'm optimistic. I don't even know how much of it I'll find out.
I've already taken a few ideas from the playtest to my home games. Like, yeah. So a few ideas I've taken from it. So it's definitely not all bad. That's for sure.
No edition is. No edition
exactly.
Is
Every
bad.
edition has interesting, cool things to the game. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And usually screws up a few other things. Every edition have done that.
Yeah. That's just the way it works. It might be really good. I'm curious to see what they come up with rules wise, for sure. So, I mean, my problems are not with the rules, as far as
exactly same here.
Sort of my house rules. I mean, but everybody house rules stuff.
Yeah, a house rule heavier now than I've ever had. So yeah.
That's everything nowadays. No matter what I do, first thing I do is I read it. Then I decide what I'm going to house rule.
Yep.
And then I draft the document of house rules.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Tavares. And hopefully everyone can all live with only 3 streams coming up this next week. Because I'm going to be down the shore on Saturday. So I can't do a special event on this Saturday. But we'll
go have some fun, man.
Yeah. Hopefully. Let's sum up this discussion here. This was really good, and I'm going to say this: we didn't talk about Rangers or Druids at all.
Nope.
Not at all in this
They
discussion.
barely mentioned them.
So I want to have a druid evolution class where it is in our Greyhawk discussion at some point. We should do that with all three of us, because Will has a ton of Rangers done. So we should have that discussion.
And we have different
17.
and we have different ideas of the old faith and druidism that I think will be interesting for all the other DMs out there to cherry pick from.
Anna and I are really close on that.
Yeah, we have some similar ideas on things, and also what a druid is different from Jay's game, my game, and Will's game to some degree. And it's interesting because all you others, when you run your games, you can cherry pick. There are certain things you like of each of us that we do things, and there are certain things that you don't like of each of us, how we do things. So yeah. I agree, Scottish Jeff. It's my
Curtis,
favorite
that's a discussion
question.
for. We'll discuss that during that thing, but that is a weird that they didn't know what to do with it, and there's a whole article about it because alignment wise it doesn't work with a Druid Ranger, and I'll explain it in the future.
To me, it's the most natural class that should be there. So to speak. But it's an obvious one.
Yeah,
a druid that can fight better is more of a warrior.
Yeah, Rangers are. And I even talk about my Ranger enhancements that I've done. So we'll get a Druid Ranger discussion within the next 2 to 4 weeks. Let's just say we'll have that. I promise, because I got a lot. We're trying to fit in other special guest things, and Ed is trying to figure out what Sunday and Saturday that he's going to be able to play, and what Sunday he's going to be able to. We'll get it all worked out. We'll have that discussion in the near future. Absolutely. Eric Boyd had an interesting background in Faith and Avatars. Eric Boyd's a genius too, man. I always shout him up of all the great stuff. Absolutely. So, let's talk about some things going on. Let's start. Will, you want to do any shout outs? What do you got going on, man?
Well, like I said, up over on the Patreon, the votes are pretty much in. I think I'm gonna leave it up through next week, but unless there's an avalanche for some other choices, looks like the next adventure that I'm going to be writing is the Lost City of the Sioux. And essentially how this will work. Oh yeah, it's that one. So, and basically, what'll be happening here is this is where being a God, I feel like I'm doing a commercial. This is where being a patron is going to pay off, because basically the first draft written of it, which will come in installments, I will post the installments on the Patreon. The Patreon installments will be Greyhawk IP in, because I can do that. It's not a for sale sort of thing. The finished product that eventually will go on sale through drive-through as an actual complete adventure will have the IP pulled out. It'll be the Greymore stuff that'll be put in there. The Druids are up for vote right now. That's the next archetypes that I'm going into. I've done the Dark Druid. I had done that already for 5th. And I'm going to be, if you scroll down, Jay, it should be on the front page. Oh, that's why you can't. No, I don't know
what's up with that. I saw that picture before. Here's the. Is this
that's it right there. Yep.
I haven't voted yet.
Those are the archetypes that I'm going to do, and essentially people get to vote on which ones they want to be done in what fashion. I think the Sea of Dust Diver so far is the leader.
I just voted for that one too.
43%. Yeah.
I like that.
This one was a little bit harder. It was like when I was telling people when I did the Rangers, because when I first was going to do the Rangers, I asked for people's suggestions on it. And so basically what everybody suggested was a forest. Like, well, that's pretty much your regular Ranger. There are a couple that were different enough that warranted to get their own archetype, but I wanted to have something that made them a little bit different. Same thing now with Druids. It has to be something that makes them different than a regular Druid to make them become something that's specific and more, Greyhawk-ish. And so all of them are Greyhawk, very, very specific. And then I've got the 4 elements, because I think it just makes sense to have a Druid that is very elementally focused on a particular element. which is something that they've never. You've had some wizards and stuff like that, but it's like, well, they're dealing with the elements all the time. Why don't we have one of those? So that's technically what I'm working on right now.
Awesome.
I'm gaming again. I've been gaming, but I started running again. So the first adventure was last Sunday, and the next adventure will be next Sunday. So, and believe it or not, that's about it. So,
no, that's enough, right? That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on again tonight. I hope you had enjoyed it.
Of course, it's always a pleasure.
Like I said, Ever Mysterious Tim has been ever mysterious. I think he's on vacation and just won't respond on his texts. We won't get into what. Just say I'm not going to be around. So yeah, yeah. Noel Dare is a great. I love that adventure. I just ran it recently, Jim, and I added that into my Narwhal. The two doppelgangers escaped, and they actually caused trouble up in the Narwhal area from that adventure. But once again, if Will incorporated that into his Lost City of the Soul, he doesn't know, that's in a dungeon magazine. Sometimes you don't want to go there with that stuff. Yeah.
Which one is this one?
The Ruins of Noel Dare.
I might have that one.
Yeah.
Do you know
it's
the
a dungeon? Jim, can you give us the dungeon number? It's early. Is it 10? It's early, 10 or 20, something like that.
Because I've got a stockpile of
it's
information.
A really good adventure. I just ran it. Reran it. So it's a really good one. So let me get off that and go to this. And yeah, it is early. Yeah, it's good to hear you. Damn it, absolutely.
Yep.
We'll see if someone can find it for you, and it'll be in chat. So Anna, what's going on with you?
We had our Shieldland session today. I'm sorry it took a little while to get going because we had two players that we had technical issues on one, and then we had some work issues on the other one. So he's managing wildfires and stuff, so he got busy. But thankfully he could pop in and we could game, but it took until a little bit after 11 until we were up and running, so to speak. So we're making progress in Critwall, and Need festivities is underway. If you go to my page, I'm going to my, and you can actually see the last bit I posted was the special guest list for my Needfest.
Yeah,
$5.99 awesome. Needfest festivities. So yep. So with the how to address them and their name and their what the title is, and a little bit of the intrigue, just hinted at the intrigue here and there, so to speak. So that is what was there, so to speak. So it's a whole bunch of, there's a whole bunch of them afterwards. So and they come a little bit of a description and stuff. Some of them are from published sources, some of them my own creations, but I try to tie them all into published sources, so to speak, so they tie directly into it. I only try to build on what's already there. So that is coming for and I'm going to I'm in the last bit of writing up a faction that ties into White Plume Mountain and into my campaign, the Daughters of Egworth. And Egworth was the druid that Caraptus killed in so there is yeah, exactly. So and he survived as a sort of shade kind of some sort of creature, so to speak. He has a following among the old faith. So that is there to get Caraptus, and they're called the Daughters of Egworth because it was his daughter that started that cult, so to speak, or the old faith cult. They play a part in my campaign, and they're going to be an initiation right because Sable, one of the characters played by Linda Booth in my campaign, is going to be initiated as a druid of that circle. So I'm going to write up, I have symbols and all that. So that will be a faction write up. It's almost done, and the story, and that will tie into the story of Caraptus. So I'm going to just read that through because I have my campaign story of Caraptus go back 3,900 years. So I basically taken the embryo of the story from White Plume Mountain and then expanded on it and tied it into my campaign, so to speak. And then, so the faction comes first, but I don't want to post that until Linda and the other players have played through, because I don't
Right.
want them to read all the spoilers on
Right.
on there before. So it comes. I've had it. I wanted to post it for a long time, but I'm going to wait until I've spilled the beans during my campaign. So I can't tell you exactly when they're coming, but it's coming. So and also my campaign map, there will be a new version coming out very soon, an updated version of my campaign map with tons of new stuff on Furyundi, new heraldry, all the baronies of Kingdom of Furyundi, with a lot more place names, heraldry, and stuff like that. So I've basically taken the whole of Furyundi. I've adjusted the borders just a little bit. I've upgraded the provinces because there was a reconstruction, so they're now proper provinces. The baronies are now they're earldoms, viscounties, and instead of the viscounties, they're archbaronies, earldoms, counties, and stuff like they should be. And then there are baronies under each of them. And these baronies and stuff are given, and viscounties and stuff are given heraldry and stuff as well. So that's what I'm coming. This is in the last throws, so to speak. So I'm doing. So there's a bunch of stuff like that is in the making. Also, merch is hopefully very, very, very close. I've said that for a long time. I'm going to sit down with Mark from Noble Dwarf tomorrow, and hopefully everything can be wrapped up by then.
Excellent.
Yep. So those are the top ones, so to speak, and also have more old Flan heraldry and old Flan legends and stuff, because my campaign is brimming of it, and that's what I've been working on. When I was gone for a month, I only had my laptop, so I've been writing tons of stuff like that. So that needs to come out as coming too. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on this week? Oh, let's go here first. So let's get, if you don't mind, let's get the signups and the submissions rolling for Virtual Greyhawk Con a little bit, or if that is doable. Thank you. We are here, and I don't know if I have any new submissions here. Let me just take a look. And first,
thank you, T. Paris. Yeah.
Currently, we have 12 now. We're up to 12 submissions.
Should be 13 by the end of the night.
Awesome.
Oh,
appreciate that. No Greyhawk Reborn yet, no Troller Game stuff, but they're coming, and a lot of the other content. I'll be pushing out this coming up. I'll be pushing out at the end of this week, trying to get people, cracking the whip. So nominal fee $5. Just if you can, sign up and have some fun. Lots of great. Good. That sounds good, Lando. I know that Chuck is Chuck's got 1,000 things going on, but yeah. Hey, Jeff, that's perfectly fine, man. Whatever games you want to get into. That's not till what? August 19th at noon Eastern. August 19th, noon Eastern is when the event registration begins. So that's why I want to get everything in within the next 3 weeks, so that people have lots of options at that point. All right, sound good. And then let's go here, and this is what's coming up this week. So this is from a song, of course everyone knows, and a movie. So I just changed it to "Where the Demi-Humans Roam" instead of "Where the Buffalo Roam." Right. So who's the star in that movie? Anyone? Bueller?
Christy McNichol.
"Where the Buffalo Roam"?
I don't know.
I never heard of it. So yeah.
I watched it once.
Wow.
Okay. Yep.
It's a cult classic from the late 70s.
Yeah, man.
With thank you, Curtis, Bill Murray.
Oh.
He plays yes, Bill Murray plays he uses weed, and he's a what do you call it? A writer. He's yeah.
Isn't he supposed to be channeling
Hunter S. Thompson? There you go. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, but it gets into all revolutionary stuff and all, and the hatred of Nixon and all that stuff. It's pretty interesting. So, where did Demi-Humans roam? So, what we're going to do is, this topic came from Cannon Fire, from Gary, Rich, and Sam. Where the demi-humans are at. Discuss unlisted pockets, enclaves where elves, dwarves live. What are the communities like? And this is so architecture I can handle with all the stuff I know that's out in 3D print, right? So elven trees, dwarven hills, halfling gnome warrens, geography and architecture in one. I think it'll be an interesting discussion. Yeah. Um,
That's
Tafari's,
one
it's a
thing I've
real
wanted to write up was another halfling shire, so it's not just one.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of halflings in the county of Ulick.
Yeah, but they don't have like their own little town, right?
Sure, they do. I always have
Do
them,
they?
and you're going to see one on Thursday.
What's the name of it?
Muddy Waters.
Muddy
Oh,
Waters? I love it.
yeah, that's good.
Is there old
Absolutely.
blue? Are they known for their blues? That would be
Yep.
great.
So yeah, I have a whole bunch of
Good.
Happy Springs is another one. I have all these towns
Oh,
on
that's
the map.
awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
So
Nice.
strange events at Muddy Waters. I'm gonna have two of my players out. This is Thursday night. So it's gonna be Walt and Tom. They're each gonna play one character, and Darling and Bones are playing with them. So it's gonna be 4 characters. It's gonna be a funny, cool adventure. And you get to see Walt's voodoo guy, his fighter necromancer, for the first time live stream. Yes, named Gramercy Riff, right out of the Warriors movie. So, where's the top hat? Think of the 7-Up commercial guy. That is his character.
Nice.
That dude. That's who he plays. So, yeah, pretty neat. Dual class human fighter necromancers. That'll be Thursday, and we'll have a Gabbin next Sunday, which I don't have the title on, and no special game this weekend. So, there you go. All right, let's do our 3 giveaways, shall we? You need to know what you claim, all right? And if you're out of the country, please. If you get the third one and it's that, we'll do another Troller game gift certificate or something. Man, getting slammed on postage to Canada. It's crazy. Absolutely nuts. The prices have gone up on that. All right, everyone in? Here we go, setting up the giveaways. Thank you all for keeping us over 100 most of the night. That was really great of you all. Thank you. Kyle Butt. And also for yesterday morning. We had 80 people watching at 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday, watching our game. D&D game. We were number 1 stream D&D category for 4 hours. It was awesome.
Yeah. I had 33 viewers, the highest this morning, and it was amazing.
Oh, that's
very few people
fantastic.
chatted, but a lot of people peeked in and looked for
Thank you.
Followed us a bit. So it's awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
There we go. Closing this out. Here we go. First winner. That's Kafir at Cave Geek. Is he streaming now? Or is he on?
Oh, Cave Geek,
Yeah,
congratulations.
Kafir. All right. Oh, he's first. Let's go for the second one. Dave. DM Dave.
Awesome.
DM Dave. Yep, I know Dave is on. I saw he's definitely on. I don't know if Cave Geek's still on. I don't know if Cave Geek's on. I know he starts streaming at this time. Well, Dave, you get first pick right now because I don't see Cave Geek on. And let me do another winner. Another winner is Celtic Boar. There you go, Celtic.
Awesome.
So you guys tell me, Dave, you're first. Do you want this book? I can send to you this printout, a $15 gift certificate, or a PDF of that. And then I'll go Celtic, and then I'll contact Kafir on the third one. This Kafir's a fellow streamer, so I don't want to, so you just missed it, Lee. Sorry about that. My apologies that you just missed it. Sorry about that. But what a great stream tonight. Anything in closing? Awesome discussion. Hopefully we had some people made people think about what we're doing. And I said we'll do a specific Druid Ranger one upcoming.
Yep.
That'll enhance this one. But get some 3 different perspectives and some ideas, and that's how to tie them into your Greyhawk campaign.
Yep.
So
thank you, Curtis. Yep.
It's good to see everyone. Yeah, 1E Druid Ranger. I promise, Norker, that I will get into that discussion when we do the Druid Ranger one. How it's easily done. We're going to raid into Darling tonight, and remember, Darling and Bones are going to be on Thursday. Darling's going to play a new character. She's actually going to play a human female straight class fighter, about probably 8th level. That's going to be a tank type. She wants to play Meat Shield for the first time in my campaign, so she'll have a new character. Bones will be playing her Clark Ranger, and then Tom will be playing the legendary archer Ace Broadhead. So there you go. Plus the Voodoo Man. So of course, we'll see you all soon. See you Wednesday, and keep on gaming.
Yep.
I'm gonna hit the wrong button. I got that feeling. Of course, thank you. No, thank you, community. Without the community here, we don't have the show, right? Thank you so very much. Let's hit the right button tonight. And I gotta move stuff around so much. Let's go in over. I'd love to see a rate of 100. That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Let's get up there. It's going.
It's a good start.
Click, 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 click.
Oh, yes.
94,
oh, yeah.
95. Oh, so close. We'll take 95, 96. Awesome.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you Wednesday. Have a good one. Wow. 97 it went to. Wow.
That was close. That was really close.
That is
awesome.
insane.
Yep.
Let me just get to her.
I always like to see their expressions right now. There's the smile. Yep, there it is.
Darlene, she is used to it, so yeah.